Hi everyone, welcome. Here is our lesson for today for our reading HMH lesson. We are working on our vocabulary words. So go ahead and take out your vocabulary notebook for HMH reading and make sure you write these vocabulary words down. We are going to get ready to read the story Clark the Shark. We have quite a few vocabulary words here. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So please make sure that you have your notebook and you are writing all 8 words down. Okay, our first word is munch. Munch. Look at the girl in the picture. She is munching on some vegetables, on a carrot. What do you think the word munch means? Let's see. When you munch food, you chew it loudly and completely. Munch. When you munch food, you're chewing it loudly and completely. That means you're chewing all of it. So what are you doing? I'm munching. Oh, what are you munching on? I'm munching on carrots. So the girl here is munching on carrots. When you munch food, you chew it loudly and completely. Go ahead and write the word munch and write the definition next to it. If you need time, pause the video now. Okay, moving on. The next word is bellowed. Bellowed. If you bellowed, you shouted in a loud, deep voice. So to bellow, or he bellowed, that means to shout in a loud, deep voice. So the elk bellowed to communicate with other elks. So this elk is communicating with other elks. He bellowed. So go ahead and write the word bellowed and write the definition next to it. If you need time, go ahead and pause the video now. All right, moving on. Our next word is rough. Rough. Ooh, I like this word. The GH makes the F sound, so it's not rough, it's rough. A lot of times we like to play rough with our siblings, right? And sometimes we play rough with our friends at school when we get in trouble. What does rough mean? When you do something in a rough way, you are not being gentle. So when you are being rough, that means you're being kind of aggressive or like tough, right? So rough means like to play or to do something that's in a ungentle way, or a way that's not gentle. So when you do something in a rough way, you are not being gentle. So gentle means like careful and slowly and, keeping in mind others' feelings or others, how they will react. And rough is the complete opposite. You're being rough. You can also not just be rough with paper. You can be rough with other things as well. All right. Because it's an adjective. An adjective describes a noun. A noun is a person, place, or thing. So it's not just someone. It can be being rough. It could be a place is rough or a thing is rough. All right, moving on. The next word is handle. Handle. Ooh, look at this picture. The boy is handling the giraffe. The boy is handling the apples and putting them in the basket. The boy is handling his work. The boy is handling his online learning, right? So handle, what does that mean? Handle, when you cannot handle something, you are not able to deal with it. But if you can handle it, then you are able to deal with it. Go ahead and write the definition down. Handle. If you need more time, pause the video now. All right, moving on. Our next word is cool. We all know what cool is, right? It looks like it's cool. Cool is a verb. To cool how you feel means to calm down, right? To calm down. I feel cool, calm, chill, right? All right, the next word is bounce. Ooh, we all know what this word is. This one is fun. Bounce. We all love to bounce. When you bounce, you move up and down. Bounce. Moving up and down, bounce. If you need to pause the video, go ahead and pause it now. All right, moving on. Our next word is grinned. Grinned. Ooh, that's a beautiful picture. Look at the girl. She has a really nice grin on her face. She's smiling. So if you grin, you smile. If you smiled, a wide smile, that's a grin. So a huge, nice, wide smile, that's a grin. This is a smile. This is a grin. All right, so she's grinning. So if you grin, you smiled a wide smile. Go ahead and write that down in your notebook. If you need more time, pause it now. All right, here is our last word for today. Might. Might. Wow, she is kicking the ball with all of her might. Might is a noun. Doing something with all your might means using all your power. With all your might, that means using all your power, all of your strength. So might is the word, and write the definition next to it. Doing something with all your might is using all your power. All right, we are going to stop there with the vocabulary. We'll do scribbled the next day, on another day. Right now, we are going to prepare to read Clark the Shark. I love the story. All right. Before we start to read this story, we're going to talk about the genre. So the genre of this story is a fantasy. What is a fantasy? Fantasies are stories with made-up events that could not really happen. I want you to write this down in your vocabulary notebook as well. Fantasies. Okay, and the definition is they are stories with made-up events that could not really happen. They're made-up events. They can't really happen, right? All right, if you need more time for that, pause the video now. As you read Clark the Shark, we're going to look for animal characters who talk and act like people, because fantasies have animal characters, because animals don't really talk, do they? No, so if you see an animal talking, you know that's probably a fantasy. Fantasies have the beginning, middle, and end of the story, and how pictures and words help you understand what happens. So always look at the pictures before you start reading or after you start reading to check your understanding, to make sure you understand, okay? So set a purpose. We have to ask questions before, during, and after you read to help you get information or understand the story. Look for evidence in the story and pictures to answer your questions. Okay? And here are our vocabulary words we just talked about. Munch.
Bellowed. If you bellowed, you shouted in a loud, deep voice.
Yep. Munch, bellowed, rough, handle, cool, bounce, grinned, might. All right. Let's move on. So let's meet the author. The author is Bruce Hill. Listen to the audio to find out about how the author of Clark the Shark, his name is Bruce Hill. Let's learn more.
Bruce Hill is a storyteller, an author, illustrator, and he's funny too.
So he's an author and an illustrator. That means he writes the words and draws the pictures.
He likes to write books that make children laugh and want to read. How does he do that? One way is to write several books about some of his favorite characters. In fact, Clark the Shark is one of 7 stories about Clark. As you read, see if you would like to read more stories about Clark.
So this is only one story about Clark. He said there's 7 stories about Clark. That means Clark the Shark is actually a series, right? So this is the first series of that book. Remember we talked about series? Series is the chapters of a book. So this is like the first, or not really a chapter, but like the section. So there are more stories for Clark the Shark. That means that's a series. Awesome. So we already know that the author likes to write stories that are funny and entertaining to help kids read or to get kids interested in reading, right? So what's the author's purpose of reading the story? The author's purpose of reading the story is to entertain, right? All right. Clark the Shark by Bruce Hill, illustrated by Guy Francis. So he's the illustrator, but he didn't illustrate the story. All right. Oh, my bad. Sorry. The beginning of Clark the Shark, let's see. What do you guys think Clark the Shark will be about? Remember, we have to ask questions before we start reading. So let's see. Clark the Shark, he looks like he's at home or in school. He looks like he's in school, and he looks like he might be a funny boy the way he's grinning, looking at us. And he also might be funny because he's wearing a tiny hat, and Clark the Shark is a big shark, right? So maybe, I don't know. You tell me. What do you think the story will be about? All right, here we go. Let's go ahead and start reading. In all the wide blue seas, in all the wide blue world, the top school for fish was Theodore Roosterfish Elementary. And of all the fish at Theodore Roosterfish, the biggest and strongest was Clark the Shark. Theodore Roosterfish Elementary. Clark loved school, and he loved his teacher, Mrs. Inky Dink. He loved to play upsy-downsy in Spina-ma-jink with his friends. Clark loved his life. What is Clark doing in this picture? He is smiling and playing with the other fish, right? How does Clark feel about his life? He loved his life, right? He loved his life. Very good. Why do you think the author wrote the word loved in a different way than the other words? Look how love is kind of curved. Good. He italicized it probably because he wanted to really show everybody how much he really loved his life, right? Very good. School is awesome, shouted Clark the Shark. Less shouting, more reading, said Mrs. Inky Dink. How does the picture help us understand what is happening? Look at the picture. What is he doing? He is really just kind of, shouting. He's not really actually reading, is he? Maybe he was. I don't know. But does he look happy? He does look happy. Lunchtime is sweet, yelled Clark the Shark. Munch your own lunch. said his best friend, Joey Mackerel. Recess rocks, bellowed Clark the Shark. You are playing rough, Clark. Let's see. Lunchtime is sweet, yelled Clark the Shark. Munch your own lunch, said his best friend, Joey. Why does he say munch your own lunch? What is he doing in the picture? He's munching everybody else's lunch. Is that nice? No. And recess rocks, bellowed Clark the Shark. That means, did he say that in a low voice or in a loud voice? He bellowed it. He said it in a loud voice. You are playing rough, Clark. Are they happy? No. He's playing football and they're trying to jump rope. That's not very nice. They just ruined his game. Their game. Yes, Clark loved his life with all his sharky heart, but he loved everything way too much. He was too loud. He was too wild. He was just too much shark for the other fish to handle. After a while, no one would play with Clark. No one ate lunch with him. No one sat with him at circle time. Even his best friend Joey Mackerel said, "Cool your jets, Clark. You're making me crazy." Oh, man. What does he mean by cool your jets? What do we say cool means? He means to chill, right? So maybe he's telling him chill out. Yep. What is the problem that Clark has? Clark is too loud. He's too wild, right? And the other fish are having a hard time handling how tough he is, right? They don't want to play with Clark because he's too wild. They won't eat lunch with him, and they won't sit with him at circle time, right? How do you guys think Clark might solve this problem? Let's see. One day, Clark asked Mrs. Inky Dink, "What's wrong with everyone?" Mrs. Inky Dink patted his fin. "Clark, sometimes you play too hard. You munch too hard. And gosh, you even help too hard." "But life is so exciting," said Clark. "There's a time and a place for everything," said Mrs. Inky Dink. And sometimes the rule is stay cool. Stay cool. Let's underline the advice. Let's underline or highlight the advice Mrs. Inky Dink gives to Clark. She says, there is a time and place for everything. And sometimes the rule is to stay cool. Let's just chill out. All right? Awesome. All right. At recess, Clark tried to stay cool, but he pushed the swing with too much zing. Sorry, said Clark. I forgot. Yikes, cried Joey Mackerel. At lunch, Clark tried to stay cool, but everything smelled so good that he munched a bunch of lunches. Sorry, said Clark. I forgot. We're starving, said his friends. Oh, no. What is different about how the word starving appears? Why do you think the author shows it this way? He says he is starving. Look at the word starving. It's in all capital letters. It's in all capital letters. Why do you think that the author wrote that word in all capital letters? Maybe he wants to emphasize on that word that he was really hungry. Like, we're starving. When something is in all caps, you say it out loud, right? And when somebody says starving loud, that means they're really hungry. They're probably hangry, right? All right. In class, Clark tried to stay cool, but a good book got him all shook up. Now, Clark, said Mrs. Inky Dink, this isn't the time or place. Tell me, what's the rule? Stay cool, said Clark. Hey, that rhymes, he cried. Then Clark got a big idea in his sharky head. Maybe if I make a rhyme, I'll remember every time. He thought. The next day, he put his plan to work. How does Clark decide to follow Mrs. Inky Dink's advice? What does he do? He makes up a rhyme that will remind him to stay cool. That's why I highlighted it. Maybe if I make up a rhyme, I'll remember every time. He notices that Mrs. Inky Dink's advice to him. What's the rule? Stay cool. Awesome. In class, when lessons got exciting, Clark wanted to bounce up out of his seat. Instead, he told himself, when teachers talking, don't go walking. And what do you know? It worked. Attaboy, Clark, said Mrs. Ink Dink. Clark smiled. Lessons are fun. All right, let's talk about the setting real quickly. Where is the setting of this? Oops, what did I just do? Oh, there we go. What is the setting of this picture right here? Where are they? They are in a playground, the lunchroom, classroom, at home. They're in the classroom. Very good. All right. Let's circle, or I'll circle the phrases that help us know where the events on each page Oops, how do I keep doing that? Okay, so it gives us a clue. It says what at the beginning? It says in class. And this is important when we write our stories, that we remember that it's also really good for the reader. It's helpful for the reader for you to be really specific, especially starting it off saying, where the setting is. The setting is where the story takes place. So in class is where the story takes place here. Why are the changes to the setting important? The changes show how Clark acts in different places around the school. The setting is important because do you act the same way you act during recess in the classroom? No. Do you act the same way you act at lunch during the classroom? In the classroom? No, you don't. So the setting is really important. All right, let's move on. At lunchtime, everything smelled so yummy. When Clark wanted to eat and never stop, he told himself. Only munch your own lunch. And it worked again. Way to go, Clark, said his friends. Clark grinned. Lunch is fun. Is he munching his own lunch? Oh, yeah. Is Clark's plan working? Is it, helping him with his self-control? It is working. So far, it's working, right? He must be feeling good about his plan. All right. We are not going to finish reading the story today. We will finish reading it on Friday. Okay, so we're going to finish reading the story on Friday. If you're super excited to see what's going to happen next, you can go ahead and read it on HMH. I assigned it to you. It's in your assignments. So if you go to my assignments on HMH, you'll find the story and you can finish reading it there. And that'd be great. So tomorrow when we're doing this, you're kind of already ahead. All right, so tomorrow we're going to finish reading it, and then I'm going to tell you what to do when you're done reading. We're going to have an activity. All right? All right, guys, have fun learning. See you later.